I love the 3rd generation starters, so I decided to draw my favorite Pokemon as Paradox forms. Before this, I had never drawn Paradox forms and didn't even know what they were since I haven't played Scarlet and Violet. I did a bit of research and tried to create something similar. I also gave my Pokemon stats to make them more meaningful, and in this video, I'll show them to you. To kick things off, I'll start with Blaziken, my favorite Pokemon. In general, I've always been drawn to humanoid Pokemon, especially fighting types. I've even created a few small animations featuring Blaziken and am already working on another one. All past Paradox Pokemon share certain traits: fur, markings around their eyes, and a wild, untamed appearance. Keeping these traits in mind, I designed my versions. Frenzied Fowl. This is my very first Paradox form. I chose Blaziken because of its iconic design and its significance to me as one of my favorite Pokemon. Its strong humanoid appearance and fiery personality made it the perfect candidate for my first attempt at creating a Paradox form. I should note that all past Paradox forms share the same ability: Photosynthesis. This limitation was a bit challenging for me, especially when I wanted to give a unique ability but had to pull back to stick to the established rules. For all my Paradox forms, I set the base stat total to 570 and rebalanced their stats. The flames on Frenzied Fowl's head were inspired by its Mega Evolution. I added additional markings on its legs to evoke a tiger-like pattern, enhancing its predatory look. The dark typing emphasizes its wild and untamed nature. Next, we move on to the future Paradox forms, which were much harder to create due to the intricate details required for metallic textures, reflections, and other elements. Unlike past forms, which allow for more natural beast-like designs, future forms demand a more structured and technological approach, requiring greater attention to precision and symmetry. In contrast, the past forms felt more flexible since they are more beast-like in design. The design went through many iterations as I tried to strike a balance. I wanted the artwork to feel clean and the design to be elegantly simple, yet I also found myself wanting to add more details. This often meant letting go of certain ideas to maintain focus. Iron Blaze. I spent hours refining its design, and this is the result. Please don't judge it too harshly, as it's my first attempt at a future Paradox form. Personally, I think it turned out pretty well. Instead of the blazing flames from its past form, Iron Blaze features solid blowtorch-like fire on its head and forearms. Similar to the original Blaziken, I aim for a futuristic look, incorporating pyramid-shaped markings on its legs and metallic wings resembling rockets. This form is more defensive due to its typing and increased defensive stats. Additionally, its speed was raised to 100, making it faster. As with all future Paradox forms, it shares the ability Quirk Drive. After exploring Blaziken's design, we now move on to the next Pokemon, Swampert. Truly an amazing Pokemon. For its past form, I leaned into its resemblance to a giant toad. I gave it horizontal pupils similar to those of real frogs, which enhance peripheral vision and help them evade predators. Mighty Mire. I drew inspiration from its Mega Evolution to create its past form. I gave it larger arms for effective offense and defense, along with a massive gill-like structure on its head to enhance its wild appearance. The orange markings spread out like warts, adding to its feral design. I reduced its speed because, let's face it, the original Swampert's speed isn't great anyway. In exchange, I boosted its attack and defense, making it bulkier overall. Now, let's move to its future form. Designing this one wasn't any easier, but I think it turned out well. Some people told me it looked too similar to the original Pokemon, so I gave it an electric typing and redesigned its whiskers to resemble lightning bolts. Iron Fin, a water-electric type Pokemon. It reminds me of Daft Punk with its helmet-like head design. Its whiskers are now electrified and have taken on their current shape. Some of my followers commented that it looks pretty cute, and I agree. Its silly expression does make it quite endearing.
No.
What no?
Just no.
Okay. I significantly increased its special attack and speed. Thanks to its typing, it became much faster and better at attacking, but it's now less durable due to a reduction in HP. Water-electric typing is quite interesting. It's a shame there are only 3 Pokemon with this typing, 2 of which belong to the same evolutionary line. Next up is Sceptile. Sceptile was likely my very first starter Pokemon. My first game was Pokemon Sapphire, and back then, I chose Trico because it looked so cool. Only later did I see the anime, where Trico had a twig in its mouth. That left a strong impression on me when I was 6 years old. Scaled Shade, a grass psychic type starter. This is a Pokemon that has achieved Zen. It gathers psychic energy and channels it in battle. The level of psychic energy is displayed on its body through red markings. I took inspiration from its Mega Evolution for its tail and reworked it slightly. I wanted to create a hermit-like design, a Pokemon that has reconnected with nature and mastered psychic energy for combat. I feel this fits well with the past form theme. Scaled Shade is slower than the original Sceptile, but not slow enough to be considered sluggish. It now focuses more on special attack and has become less physical and more specially defensive. Now, on to its future form. Designing this one was easier because the concept came to me instantly and all I had to do was bring it to life on screen. Drawing it was a lot of fun, especially since I was starting to get the hang of creating future forms by this point. Some people said it reminds them of Flygon or Yanmega, and that its pose resembles a... Its pose resembles a jump scare from FNAF. I noticed that too as I was drawing, but my main intention was to depict it mid-flight using its holographic wings. Iron Blades, a grass-flying type Pokemon. Some people mentioned it looks more like an electric type because of the lights on its back, but those lights are more of a decorative element. I initially wanted to give it an ability to absorb electric type moves due to these lights, but had to stick to the rule that all Paradox forms share the same ability. This limitation did restrict my creativity a bit. Iron Blades is more focused on physical attack and has become more specially defensive. Its grass-flying typing complements its sleek, futuristic design. Subscribe to my Patreon for $5 a month to see completed drawings before the video is released. Support me in my journey, and I'll see you in the next video.